It's trivia time, baby! Plus, Ryan's journey to sobriety, Cara continues playing defense, not nearly enough people are playing offense, Leroy gets his mojo back, and Ace may be Adam's knight in shining armor, but whatever the opposite of that is, that's what Ace is to Brad. It's the Challenge All-Stars 4 Episode 7 recap coming up right now. What up, my fellow Challenge lover? Welcome to The Challenge Historian, where we dive deep into all things MTV's The Challenge, past, present, or future. If it's happening in The Challenge universe, we are here to document it. I am your host and dedicated Challenge historian, Jacob Hollaball. Thank you so very, very much for being here with me on this Wednesday, midday, All-Stars 4 Wednesdays, one of the second to last of the best Wednesdays of the year. These Wednesdays with All-Stars 4 right when I wake up, and then Survivor 46 before I go to bed, have just been truly amazing. And so I thank the reality TV Bunim-Murray gods out there that bring us these wonderful shows both on the same day at different times for once. And I appreciate you for being here to recap the challenge with me. We are going to dive into all things episode 7. Before we do, the only programming reminders are a quick apology, and for those who may have been looking for the fastest Survivor recap you've ever heard, because Tony and I were not able to make a recording time work over this last weekend. Mostly my fault as usual. So I'm sorry, folks. It just doesn't always work out to do those at the same time when we're both doing challenge podcasts. But for those that Survivor fans that were wondering, one, yes, we will be back this weekend to cover the penultimate episode that airs tonight, and of course next week to cover the finale. My quick recap of last week's episode: one, I love Venus and I'm devastated that she botched having power in a clear lane to maybe a final tribal, maybe even a win. Two, Maria, my winner pick, still my girl, but what the hell are you doing? Rock, paper, scissors made no sense. Three, Charlie continues to be an absolute star. And fourth, and finally, continue to put it on the record, I think Q can win, and I am honestly starting to believe that not only can he win, but he is going to win. And I don't think I've ever wanted anything to happen more in my life. I just want him to win so badly. If it can't be Venus, it must be Q. Please. Boom. There you go. Survivor recap in, I don't know if that was 30 seconds or less. Back to the challenge, back to what we are here for. Agenda, as always, walk through the full episode, hit the big storylines. We'll do some awards. We'll update the power rankings because we lost one of the top ranked folks on those power rankings. So things are getting shaken up. With that, let's dive in. All-Stars 4, Episode 7. As always, subscribe, follow wherever you are listening. DMs are open at Challenge Historian on Instagram. Thanks for being here. Here we go. Open of the episode, we do get the joint Nicole Steve recap of last week, which I just continue to love having the winners of the elimination do the last week on. They've been super fun. This one was super fun. I've loved every single one of them. We get a couple little moments between different people, but mainly we get one long conversation and moment between Adam and Ryan discussing Ryan's sobriety. First off, he and Adam's conversation, this whole section and really the initial conversation between the two feels like the human interest portion of what All-Stars was sold as and actually was in its first 1 to 2 seasons. And it's kind of morphed, but this felt like, this is kind of what we were signing up for originally with All-Stars, right? When it first was announced, when, the idea was first out there from Mark and the fandom and everything else, it's two folks who Ryan hasn't been away because he's done All-Stars before, but otherwise had been away for a while pre All-Stars comeback. Adam obviously been away from the show a long time. And, I've been away for a while. Here's how I know, here's some of the things I maybe wasn't doing so good back then. Here's things I've gotten better at, kind of having a laugh about like, yeah, we could have had a great time back then, but also we both know now that that great time would have been at the expense of the best versions of ourselves. It's just all really great. It's great to hear them have that connection. It's great to see people in the house having these connections. It's been great. Adam definitely seems to be like leading this. Like he came in there with the real mission of like, I want to reconnect with a few of them that he knew and connect with the others and, really make the best of this experience and hanging out and living in a house disconnected from the world. most of them are disconnected from the world. And so loved all of that, loved the conversation. It felt like, the half of the idea of All Stars that was like, let's bring these people back and kind of do a where are they now? How have they changed? How have they evolved? That kind of stuff. Felt like that. Ryan, then of course, was the center focus here. His journey with sobriety, absolutely amazing, absolutely wonderful to hear. He was at one of the Challenge Mania Chicago's that has taken place between the time they filmed this season and the season is now airing, because again, that was a year and a half in between. So there's a few Challenge Mania Chicago's in between there, and he was at one of them. And so there was a little bit of discussion of that, or at least knowledge of that from anyone that was there, and on my part. And I haven't been following everyone's socials as much, so I think I knew this from social media, but I don't know. I felt like I was a little bit learning it for the second time here in the episode, but it's been absolutely amazing to see. He definitely seems, to be the best version of himself that we've seen. And I've always liked the Ryan that we've seen, just to put that out there too. So love it. Glad he's able to talk so openly about it. I always appreciate the cast members being vulnerable about real life, hard things that are very hard and difficult to go through and succeed with and get past, and then to be able to talk about them. Even if you've been successful in getting past or through or doing something very difficult, it's still really hard, even in the successful version, to talk about that really difficult thing. So I appreciate that from him. And shout out to the rest of the cast. It is a testament to the rest of this cast and to the All Stars environment that, they say midway through the episode when they bring this storyline back up, like Laurel, I think, is the main confessional, but there's a few of them about like, we're all so supportive of him. We want him to be here. We love seeing how great he's doing. And he gives his toast saying like, it's amazing to, be in a house where you make it so easy to continue this. That's a testament to the All Stars atmosphere, production, and this cast. I don't know if that would be the case on a flagship, even still today, if it would be the best environment to go into of, months into sobriety. Unless there was like a really solid group and like a specific casting of like, let's get this person 3 or 4, like their best possible friends in this game, so that they've got a real tight support group. So shout out to this cast and the All Stars environment. And the final thing on this, random kind of tangent off of it, but there was definitely a moment when they came back and they brought the storyline back up that I was like, Ryan's going home. That's just kind of how this works. It's always kind of telegraphed. They only have so much time. They really focus on basically the 2 people that end up in elimination more often than not. But then I realized, hey, wait a minute. They've focused on enough people here. You actually don't know that he's going home for sure. So I want to just shout out the editing team here and just in production in general, that they got this right. They don't always, and oftentimes they maybe just don't have the ability the enough storylines to put in there. But on this one, they got the balance of this right, where they keyed in on Brad, they keyed in on Ryan, they keyed in on Adam, and to an extent, Leroy and Ace. And those 5 people end up being the most consequential. At the end, it's like, these are the 3 people we're picking to go in. One of them wants to go in, and Adam. And then we got the 2 people, Ace, kind of the deciding vote, Leroy, the deciding, do you want to play or not play? So they did a really good job of kind of keeping me a little bit more on my feet, not knowing who of those 3 would maybe be going home. And I really appreciated that. Then we've got the daily challenge. And I tell you what I don't appreciate. I don't appreciate a bad trivia. And this one was a bad trivia. Let's just be honest. We got to be objective around here. I always hate saying anything negative, but when it's necessary, we do it. And this trivia kind of sucked, in my opinion. It's supposed to be more fun than this. It was a poor effort. I like the opening set of questions. I liked that it was, questions about the season you've been on. And so I think that's a kind of neat little thing to bring in. So I was cool with the first 2 rounds of questions on the first heat, where one round, everyone gets a question about a daily challenge we've done. The next round, everyone gets a question about an elimination we've done. Are you paying attention? Are you remembering things? I really like those. So it was a strong start. One, I was like, I kind of like making them do pairs. Of course, I'm always a fan of pairs. Works great here. So I was like, we're going great. And then it just turned into a spelling bee. And I get that spelling has become, as much trivia has kind of morphed into spelling bee over the years. And there has always been a lot of spelling in the last, handful of times we've seen trivia. But I think you could just, if you want to do a spelling bee so bad, just do it separate. We've had a couple times, I think the first ever spelling bee was on Duel 2. The actual, just like, it was a spelling bee. It was not trivia involved. It was pure spelling, in the same manner. Overwater, get flung in if you get it wrong. I'm okay with you separating them and doing two different ones. I don't like when we're saying it's trivia day and trivia is over 50% spelling. And yes, they attach the spelling to challenge history things, which I do appreciate that portion of it, but it also just turns into pure luck of the draw. Like, let's be honest here, spelling the word mission versus spelling Reykjavik is not the same thing. Those are not in, if this was a spelling bee board game that you got out and played with your friends that had 10 levels of, difficulty, Reykjavik isn't it actually is spelled exactly how, if you sound it out, which is the only word in the hardest language out there, Icelandic, is incredibly difficult. I digress. It's way harder than mission. It's like level 5 compared to missions like level 1 or 2. Very simple. So it just felt a little unfair, felt a little haphazard, and it didn't lead to any funny gaffes or any like super impressive, oh my God, I can't believe they got that right. The only one of those we even got was the flashback to Jay, randomly guessing and getting one right and end up winning on the one season he's been on, where he won, him and Jenna against all odds won trivia on that one. So didn't love any of that. Everyone also should go in one heat. They at least it was like half and half. They got the 3 strikes. That's correct. Not putting them on people. I like that. It's on your own. Can you get them correctly? So there was some good here, but it just turned into too much of a spelling and kind of boring for me. And then also, are the fans out? You tell me listening, are you one of the fans that loves either of these two things? I know one of these wasn't in this episode, but one thing is puking montages. Are you super into them? Are you just so jazzed up to watch them? And 2, are you thrilled? Are you so excited and so glued to your TV at the prospect of them hurting someone because of how they've thrown them into a body of water? Does that really get you going? Because I'm all for the scariness of, like, that's an element that is needed in a trivia, is like, you're going to get thrown into that water, but just do the little, like, the floor falls out from under you and you pencils, dive down into the water nice and easy. No one needs to get hurt here, because this one was literally like, you can't even do this the proper way. This is purposely going to fling you backwards and inwards so that you flip and land in a belly flop at worst, in a, on your head at best, which is just, doesn't seem necessary. And I don't know that it adds any value for the viewer. It only possibly hurts your cast members that we need. So don't get that anything. Making the teams, though, final thing on this daily challenge, and we'll move on, is one interesting team choice really stands out. And that is that, Veronica and Tina are definitely team Cam as far as Cam versus Cara in this house goes. Cam and Leroy getting Veronica and Steve to split up, who were paired together before and would be the favorites to win trivia going in as partners. Leroy and Cam getting them to split up is a big move, and really a testament to, there's solid lines drawn here, and people are, have chosen one side or the other. Next up, we're back at the house. They have a pizza party. They got pizza. They got wine. They're all sitting around having a good old time. And my guy Ace, who I love so much, total bias known here. I think I've said it many times this season, but I'll just make it known again here. I adore Ace so much. I really love that his confessional, like, maybe he only has like 3 t-shirts. The man works manual labor outdoor, doing all kinds of interesting and cool stuff in the outdoors. He's very dirty on a given day, and he seems to have only brought with him to this challenge house 2 or 3 shirts that he has worn on 100 days labor out in the woods, in the mud, whatever. And so he looks like, in the confessionals, because of the hat and the shirt that he's wearing, he still looks like he just came in from a hard day's work, like out in the field or out building a cabin, or, removing whatever, like just excavating some cave, something crazy and cool and fun that he does. But it feels like he literally, like, they pull him from outside and have him do the confessionals. And I just love it every single time. So love Ace to death. his attempt here, valiant attempt at both making fun TV, providing entertainment for the cast in the house, is just met with complete icicles from everyone else. And I don't get it at all. I get that some of them, are like, I get Brad being like, whoa, wait a minute. I didn't want to do that. You actually got this wrong. And so set that aside though. Everyone else is like, yeah, we get, I think the conversation the day after, Derek and Ryan maybe and someone else being like, oh, kind of, yeah, don't really know what that was last night. Like we get a few jokes about like what was Ace doing. I'm like, he was trying to entertain you folks. Like what, Leroy and Cam get to toast themselves like 3 times in a row, which I'm a fan of that. I'm not hating on that at all. And that's like, yeah, do you guys want to do one more toast to Leroy and Veronica? Do you want to, let's do a 4th? But then Ace is like, you want me to like be funny and entertaining and charming and regale you with the story about how one of these 2 guys is going to steal my star tomorrow? And no one's interested. So I was interested. Thank you, Ace. And he's also right. Like, why does Brad not want to go in? If like, I think he was right about that. I think he was correct on the read of, I would assume Brad wants to go in there. And I think Brad's awesome and would want to like, so let's put him in. And I think he's also right. It's question then on like, just giving up your star or whatever. I think he knows, hey, 1 star is safe. So it's between me or Steve to lose our star, the winner to take it. And I think everyone's like, Steve's won multiple eliminations. He and gave you your star. We're going to take from you. So if he knows my star is gone at the end of this, go the route of, I'm giving it up. I know whoever's got winnings tomorrow taking it. It's fine. Let's have fun with it. That keeps your relationships. That just keeps things smoother. I would have thought in the house. So I thought he was doing everything right and having a good time. And I guess I disagree with everyone else in the house who thought he was doing things wrong and not having a good time. So that's that. We go to nominations where he becomes integral anyways. First off, Tina has learned how to burn a vote, which is really great. She learns how to burn a vote without saying a friend's name and just kind of passing the buck, saying responsibility will go elsewhere. That's all you had to do on the Rachel vote. Rachel was already voted in, didn't need to say her name. Could have just said, I'll say the person who has no votes, and that's fine. And I'll tell them I voted for you because I wasn't going to say Rachel's name and the vote was already done. And it did not matter. I burned a vote on you on the last vote. That's all you had to do then. She's figured it out and got it. Now, also sidebar, Tina and Flora have beef, I guess. I haven't been very online the last week, but there's some beef there. I just saw one tweet from Tina. If someone's got the like recap summary of what's going down there and wants to send that my way, I would definitely appreciate it. I'll look into it more and maybe speak on it next week. Cara and Jay here in nominations, because they're always in nominations, because they're always in the middle group. They're so good at being in the middle group. Cara and Jay are running this game by default of they have continually been 2 of the 6 votes in the middle group, just over and over and over and over. And it's a great place to be if you're Cara, who has her star. It's a tricky place to be if you're Jay and does not have your star and has no path if you just keep being in the middle. And I'll say it again, I'm thrilled that no one's throwing daily challenges, but when are people going to start throwing daily challenges? Because the incentive is there. And maybe there's something they're not telling us behind the scenes to like de-incentivize it from happening. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to happen at some point. Jay, if you can't win, if you keep getting second or third, you got to get last, my man. You got to go in there and try to get last. Derek stands up for his friend Ryan, does a good job. Well done, Derek. And Ace, then it comes down to him because of Tina's burn vote. And Ace makes the right call. Put Brad in with Adam. You might be friends, but you haven't made any agreements or anything. And Brad and Adam are 2 of the 3 guys at the top of my board on the men's side for don't want to run a final against. And so if we're going, what thankfully this cast has somewhat done most of the season of like, let's try to get the best people out over and over and over. And so I think Brad and Adam is the way to go in that. And I think Ace makes the right call. To the arena we go. It was a good game. It was a good game that took a big construction setup. They had to make those boards and those ramps. That's a big undertaking. So they deserve to bring it back and actually play it since we didn't get to see it before. However, while I like the game for its proper mix of physical and mental. It's a great elimination as far as just like testing all the things I want eliminations to test for the most part. It is still, though, a shit game for TV. All the memory games are shitty for TV. Just not like, it's just like, we don't know if they're getting things right. We need the confessionals to basically, the producers, to prod people into basically telling us, like in this one, we need someone in confessional to say Brad has hit the enter button multiple times, and then make Brad in confessional say, yeah, I think I screwed up, so I like started mine over multiple times. Because you don't know what you're watching. You're basically just like, all right, can we just fast forward to like tell us who won? Because there isn't anything to watch necessarily. People memorize and press buttons, but again, bad for TV, good for like what I want the elimination games to be. It's just, yeah, it's a little bit more of a boring watch. Adam wins because Adam is fully confident going in, and that confidence allows him to go slow, calm, just get it right the first time. It's like, how many numbers am I 100% confident I will memorize and not mess up? He takes a long look at the board the first time to kind of get a read of like, okay, how confusing is the green arrows versus the red arrows going to be? He decides his number, like, I'm going to memorize 3 or 4, and I'm going to go. It was 6 rows of 6. So the one thing with this, I think going in always immediately is like, I always want to memorize a full row or half a row. And like, it would feel like you're not doing enough to only memorize 3. But the thing, I don't want to go from one row to the other, because I feel like that messes you up on where your placement is. You don't have to remember. If you're like, hey, I'm going to remember 1 row every time, the next time you go, I'm starting from this point. If you're like, I'm going to memorize half a row, the next time you go, you're like, I know I'm always starting at that halfway point. Versus you're like, if I memorize 4, then it's rows of 6, memorize the first 4. Next time I go up, I got 2 here, 2 down in the next row. The next time I go in, I'm like, okay, I'm starting 2 in. It's a little bit more confusing. But so I don't know if I would have went trying to do all 6 and do 6 runs back and forth. That seems aggressive. I don't know if Adam did more than 3. Maybe he did halves and did 12 trips. I don't know. Either way, his strategy was precision. I think he accurately read that Brad doesn't seem to be in a headspace where he's going to maybe get it 100% right the first time. If he does, so be it. I will lose. But if I just get it right my first time through, I feel very confident I'll win. He does that. He gets the win. I feel bad for Brad. He's been on just a real journey in life, a lot of pain around the situation with his ex-wife, kids. Still to this day, while portions of that have been resolved over the last few years, he went through some really, really tough years with that situation. He's trying so hard to make a difference in life for both his 2 boys and a lot of other people. Again, back to one of the multiple Challenge Mania events here in Chicago between filming of the season and release of the season. Brad spoke a lot about the work he's trying to do to help others who were in a situation similar to what he was in his custody battle that he went through, and everything that he's gone through. So I really love Brad. I really respect, him all constantly trying to be a better version of himself. Tough to see him having such a tough season here, even more so because it is like, I just wish you could flip All Stars 3 Brad and All Stars 4 Brad, because All Stars 3 Brad, while he was right there in that final versus Wes, I always felt like Wes was going to win that if he got to the final, and he of course did. And I feel like it would have been fine for Brad to kind of flame out of that season if we would have then got amazing Brad that he was on All Stars 3, on All Stars 4, a season where I was like, dude, if you get to this final and you're locked in, you can smoke everyone here in a final. You can get that second win. So it's tough to see him struggle at any point, but definitely on a season that I thought was right there for him to be one of the favorites and to win. But alas, he is gone. Adam has his star and is maybe moving up the power rankings. We shall see. But first, awards. Awards are going to be super quick this week because my note taking wasn't perfect. We'll just say that on this episode. But also, I thought the quotes were pretty lacking. I thought the episode in general it moved really briskly and quickly, and there were some sections that were a little boring. I'm very much looking forward to next week's episode where I think that's all going to turn back around. So not as many moments, not as much strategy, and a clear-cut MVP. So quickly, best quote, Leroy, hell no. Loved his whole response to wanting to go in. And this is the kind of trailer trickery that I'm okay with. We got this moment in the trailer and it was made, you see it out of context and you think something Leroy is very not happy about has happened. in reality, it turns into like he's just saying, no, I don't need to take your place and everything's great and my life in this game is currently fantastic. So I'm okay with that kind of trailer trickery. Love that moment. Leroy, best quote. Best moment, Ryan and Adam, sobriety chat. Ace, my only favorite kind of gaffe of the entire, so-called trivias, aka spelling bee, was Ace not knowing the color of the couch and them showing the montage of him just sleeping on the couch all day, every day, and not knowing what color although to be fair, they debate, is it gray or is it white? And they go with white and they call it gray. And I'm like, that's a little, that's tough, but he takes it on the chin. And then of course, Ace's tail that I liked and no one in the house seemed to at all. Will give the best moment to Ryan though, for the vulnerability and sharing the real life things he's gone through with us. Best strategy, Tina learned to burn vote. That's really good. Derek and Cara both strongly voicing their opinions and, more or less getting their way in the nominations. That's good. And then Cam and Leroy, though, really convincing Veronica and Steve to split up on a challenge they would be favorites in, I think is the best strategy of the episode and just shows their power in the house to get those two to split up on a challenge like this and worsen their chances of winning. I know it worked out for Veronica, but I think it worsened her chances of winning that challenge. Same for Steve. And so Cam and Leroy get that. MVP, Leroy's on the ballot, Adam's on the ballot, Ryan's on the ballot, but Ace is winning it. Ace is my MVP. Starless Ace, Knight in Shining Armor Ace. Ace is your MVP. Now for our power rankings and our predictions that are bound to be wrong. Power rankings. Obviously, Brad was in that third spot last week, in that top tier, in that third spot. He is now gone. Now, we are still doing 4 tiers. However, the tiers have changed slightly. I've got Leroy and Cara 1, 2 remaining. And now, where there used to be 4 in tier 1 last week, there's only 2 this week. Brad's gone, and I've bumped Laurel down to tier 2, where I have Laurel in 3rd and Adam moving up from 7th to 4th in 4th. And that is all of tier 2. I think Leroy and Cara are the favorites. I think Laurel and Adam are the most deserving of being in the same conversation as Leroy and Cara in a final. And so I've got them in their own kind of tier between tier 1 and 3, which is where tier 2 ends up being. Yes, that's how numbers work. And then tier 3 is much bigger. I think all of these people have a shot. I just think they need to knock out a majority of the people in those top 4, Leroy, Cara, Laurel, and Adam. And so I've got Jay 5th, Nicole 6th, Derek 7th, Steve 8th, Avery 9th, Cam 10th, Ace 11th, Ryan 12th. And those really, I feel good about Jay kind of being at the top of that, as weird as that is to say. But otherwise, this group is, you could put them in any order and I wouldn't be too upset with you. I think, again, same as I said at the start of it, they got a shot, but they really need to be there. If it was a group of those 6 running the final together, I think any of them could win. If Leroy, Cara, Laurel, and Adam are there, I'm going to take one of them as a heavier favorite over this group. And then I've still got Veronica, Tina, and Flora at the bottom. I still haven't this episode didn't convince me in any way that one of those 3 has a shot to win. Predictions. Basically got them all wrong again last week. I did give Veronica winning right, so something. There's a glimmer of hope. But we see in the next week on that we get the big moment we had seen from the trailer, which is Laurel just yelling at Cara right in her face in what looks to be nominations. Maybe it's not, but it kind of seems like they're sitting, a small group sitting in a circle. It feels nominations-esque, I would say. But my prediction is Laurel yelling at Cara is going to be because Cara is angling for Nicole to go into elimination after being in the losing group. So I'm saying that Nicole would be in the losing group and that Cara and Laurel would be in the middle, and Cara would want Nicole to go in, therefore getting Laurel very upset at her. Cara maybe says like, well, you shouldn't care. I thought you were over this person. You should be over this person. Laurel says basically, F you, shut up. Something to that effect. And then to take a little bit further, I think Cara wants Nicole in, not for any reasons against Laurel, because she wants star holders in there. But I think Cam wants to be in there. So maybe Cam wins and Cara expects her to throw herself in. So Cara wants Nicole in there to potentially beat Cam. Cam, though, would just replace Nicole. So Cara must want Nicole and Veronica in elimination, which would mean they would both need to be in the losers group. So That's what I think happens. I think Nicole and Veronica are in the losers group. I'll predict that. I'll predict Cam wins. I'll predict Laurel and Cara are in the middle group. And therefore, that Cara, to keep her safe from Cam, will say it needs to be the 2 star holders go in. So even if Cam throws herself in, she's just stealing a star from whoever she doesn't replace. And I think Laurel doesn't want Nicole in there. Maybe doesn't want Veronica either. Just doesn't want Cara to get her way. And yeah, I think either way, Cara takes on both Nicole in the daily challenge as we see them going at it, and Laurel in the nominations. So it's going to be great. One way or the other. It's going to be great. Good theater, good times will be had. Episode 8 of All Stars 4. That will be next Wednesday. We'll be back, of course, sometime around midday of that day to discuss it all, break it all down. Thanks as always for being here as you are each and every week. Love, 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 and appreciate you. Follow, subscribe, hit me up on Instagram if you want to chat about the show. Tony and I will be back this weekend. Will for sure be back for the penultimate episode of Survivor. So Survivor fans tune into that. And otherwise, I will see you next week. Peace.